The Bible in a Year, Day 84, Judges 10 through 12. After Abimelech, Tola, son of Puah, son of Dodo, a man of Issachar, rose up to save Israel. He lived in Shamir, in the mountain region of Ephraim. When he had judged Israel 23 years, he died and was buried in Shamir. Jair the Gileadite came after him and judged Israel 22 years. He had 30 sons who rode on 30 donkeys and possessed 30 cities in the land of Gilead. These are called Havoth Jair to the present day. Jair died and was buried in Kamon. The Israelites again did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, serving the Baals and Ashtoreths, the gods of Adam, gods of Sidon, the gods of Moab, the gods of the Ammonites, and the gods of the Philistines, since they had abandoned the Lord and would not serve him. The Lord became very angry with Israel, and he sold them into the power of the Philistines and the Ammonites. For 18 years they afflicted and oppressed the Israelites in Bashan, and all the Israelites in the Amorite land beyond the Jordan in Gilead. The Ammonites also crushed the Jordan to fight against Judah, Benjamin, and the house of Ephraim, so that Israel was in great distress. Then the Israelites cried out to the Lord, "We have sinned against you, for we have abandoned our God and served the Baals." The Lord answered the Israelites, "Did not the Egyptians, the Amorites, the Ammonites, the Philistines, the Sidonians, the Amalekites, and the Midianites oppress you? Yet when you cried out to me, and I saved you from their power, you still abandoned me and served other gods. Therefore I will save you no more. Go and cry out to the gods you have chosen. Let them save you in your time of distress." But the Israelites said to the Lord, "We have sinned. Do whatever is good in your sight. Only deliver us this day." And they cast out the foreign gods from their midst and served the Lord, so that he grieved over the misery of Israel. The Ammonites were called out for war and encamped in Gilead. When the Israelites assembled and encamped at Mizpah, the captains of the army of Gilead said to one another, "The one who begins the war against the Ammonites shall be leader of all the inhabitants of Gilead." Jephthah the Gileadite was a warrior. He was the son of a prostitute, fathered by Gilead. Gilead's wife had also borne him sons. When they grew up, the sons of the wife had driven Jephthah away, saying to him, "You shall inherit nothing in our father's house, for you are the son of another woman." So Jephthah had fled from his brothers and taken up residence in the land of Tob. Worthless men had joined company with him and went out with him on raids. Sometime later the Ammonites went to war against Israel, and as soon as the Ammonites were at war with Israel, the elders of Gilead went to bring Jephthah from the land of Tob. "Come," they said to Jephthah, "be our commander, so that we can fight the Ammonites. Are you not the one who hated me and drove me from my father's house?" Jephthah replied to the elders of Gilead, "Why do you come to me now, when you are in distress?" The elders of Gilead said to Jephthah, "This is the reason. We have come back to you now. If you go with us to fight against the Ammonites, you shall be the leader of all the inhabitants of Gilead." Jephthah answered the elders of Gilead, "If you bring me back to fight against the Ammonites, and the Lord delivers them up to me, I will be your leader." The elders of Gilead said to Jephthah, "The Lord is witness between us that we will do as you say." So Jephthah went with the elders of Gilead, and the army made him their leader and commander. Jephthah gave all his orders in the presence of the Lord in Mizpah. Then he sent messengers to the king of the Ammonites to say, "What do you have against me, that you have come to fight with me in my land?" The king of the Ammonites answered the messengers of Jephthah, Israel took away my land from Arnon to the Jabbok and the Jordan when they came up from Egypt. Now restore it peaceably. Against Again Jephthah sent messengers to the king of the Ammonites, saying to him, This is what Jephthah says, Israel did not take the land of Moab or the land of the Ammonites, for when they came up from Israel went through the wilderness to the Red Sea and came to Kadesh. Israel sent messengers to the king of Edom, saying, Let me pass through your land. But the king of Edom did not give consent. They also sent to the king of Moab, but he too was unwilling. So Israel remained in Kadesh. Then they went through the wilderness, and bypassing the land of Edom and the land of Moab, they arrived east of the land of Moab and encamped across the Arnon. Thus they did not enter the territory of Moab, for the Arnon is the boundary of Moab. Then Israel sent messengers to the Amorite king Sihon, who was king of Heshbon. Israel said to him, Let me pass through your land to my own place. But Sihon refused to let Israel pass through his territory. He gathered all his soldiers, and they encamped at Jahaz and fought Israel. But the Lord, the God of Israel, delivered Sihon and his entire army into the power of Israel, who defeated them and occupied all the land of the Amorites who lived in that region. He occupied all the Amorite territory from the Arnon to the Jabbok and the wilderness to Jordan. And now then it was the Lord, the God of Israel, who dispossessed the Amorites for his people, Israel. And you are going to dispossess them? Should you not take possession of that which your God Chemosh gave you to possess? And should we not take possession of all that the Lord our God had dispossessed for us? Now then, are you any better than Balak son of Zippor, king of Moab? But did he even quarrel with Israel or make war against them? Israel has dwelt in Heshbon and its villages, Aror and its villages, and all the cities on the banks of the Arnon for 300 years. Why did you not recover them during that time? As for me, I have not sinned against you, but you wronged me by making war against me. Let the Lord, who is judge, decide this day between the Israelites and the Ammonites. But the king of the Ammonites paid no heed to the message Jephthah sent him. The Spirit of the Lord came upon Jephthah. He passed through Gilead and Manasseh, and through Mizpah of Gilead as well, and from Mizpah of Gilead he crossed over against the Ammonites. Jephthah made a vow to the Lord. If you deliver the Ammonites into my power, he said, whoever comes out of the doors of my house to meet me when I return from the Ammonites in peace shall belong to the Lord. I shall offer him up as a burnt offering. Jephthah then crossed over against the Ammonites to fight against them, and the Lord delivered them into his power. He inflicted a very severe defeat on them from Aror to the approach of Minnith, 20 cities in all, and as far as Abel Keramim. So the Ammonites were brought into subjection by the Israelites. When Jephthah returned to his house in Mizpah, it was his daughter who came out to meet him, with tambourine playing and dancing. She was his only child. He had neither son nor daughter besides her. When he saw her, he tore his garments and said, Ah, my daughter, you have struck me down and brought calamity upon me, for I made a vow to the Lord and cannot take it back. Father, she replied, you have made a vow to the Lord. Do with me as you have vowed, because the Lord has taken vengeance for you against your enemies, the Ammonites." Then she said to her father, "Let me have this favor. Do nothing for 2 months, that I and my companions may go and wander in the mountains to weep for my virginity." "Go," he replied, and sent her away for 2 months. So she departed with her companions and wept for her virginity in the mountains. At the end of the 2 months she returned to her father, and he did to her as he had vowed. She had not had any relations with any man. It became custom in Israel for Israelite women to go yearly to mourn the daughter of Jephthah the Gileadite for 4 days of the year. The men of Ephraim called out, and they crossed over to Zaphon. They said to Jephthah, "Why did you go to fight with the Ammonites without calling us to go with you? We will burn your house on top of you." Jephthah then answered, "My soldiers and I were engaged in a contest with the Ammonites. They were pressing us hard, and I cried out to you, but you did not come to save me from their power. When I saw that you were not coming to save me, I took my life in my own hand and crossed over against the Ammonites, and the Lord delivered them into my power. Why then should you come up against me this day to fight with me?" Then Jephthah gathered together all the men of Gilead and fought against Ephraim. The men of Gilead defeated Ephraim, and Gilead seized the fords of the Jordan against Ephraim. When any of the fleeing Ephraimites said, "Let me pass," the men of Gilead would say to him, "Are you an Ephraimite?" If they answered, "No," they would ask him to say Shibboleth. If he said Shibboleth, not pronouncing it exactly, they would seize him and kill him at the fords of the Jordan. 42,000 Ephraimites fell at that time. Jephthah judged Israel for 6 years, and Jephthah the Gileadite died and was buried in his city in Gilead. After him, Ibzan of Bethlehem judged Israel. He had 30 sons and 30 daughters, who gave him in marriage outside the family, while bringing in 30 wives for his sons from outside the family. He judged Israel for 7 years. Ibzan died and was buried in Bethlehem. After him, Elon the Zebulunite judged Israel. He judged Israel for 10 years. Elon the Zebulunite died and was buried at Ajalon in the land of Zebulun. After him, Abdon, son of Hillel the Pirathonite, judged Israel. He had 40 sons and 30 grandsons, who rode on 70 donkeys. He judged Israel for 8 years. Abdon, son of Hillel the Pirathonite, died and was buried in Pirathon in the land of Ephraim in the mountain region of the Amalekites. This is the word of the Lord.